and you are three stripe Adidas head to toe, how many people are going to see it? And how many are going to engage with it? How many are going to hit the like button? How many are going to leave a comment? That's what you're trying to accomplish, because that's what gives you the leverage. And here's the best part about it. The more eyes, the more followers, the more engagement, the more numbers you have, the bigger the check. That's simple. What's up? It's your boy Mike Waters, Phase One Elite right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So first of all, shout out to all my parents and athletes out there. So today I want to dive right into one of the most popular trending topics in student athlete sports, and that is NIL. For those that may not be familiar, which means you probably are living under a rock or something like that, or maybe you have a student athlete, but they're in like first grade, because I don't think they start talking about it till third grade. But if you have not heard, NIL is name, image, and likeness. So what that means is, just here recently, probably about a little over a year ago, the NCAA actually passed regulation that allows student athletes to now be compensated by marketing teams, endorsements, basically being paid for their name, image, and likeness. So all those years that athletes have been watching, thousands of fans wearing their jerseys with their name on the back or their number and not being compensated at all for that, now things are in place to where they can be paid. They can sell their own products. Marketing companies can come in and hire them as talent. Nike, Adidas, all the big brands, all the big companies can now pay student athletes, whether that's in high school, college, or pro, of course. You can now be compensated through your NIL deal. Now, before I go any further, for the high school athletes, I want to be clear. Make sure that it's allowed or it's approved in your state, because you could be a high school athlete and you could, receive money for marketing through an NIL deal, but if it's not approved in your state, that could cost you your eligibility. Now, if you're a club player, you play on just club or travel ball, then you don't really have to worry about it. That's more or less for the athletes that still compete on their high school team if their state has not approved it yet. So that's just my little disclaimer. Just wanted to get into it. But I want to dive a little bit deeper, because obviously, since it is a trending topic right now, I've had so many athletes and so many parents that want to meet or want to schedule consultations. They want to talk about NIL. They want to talk about what to do, how to do it, how to utilize it. And I'm gonna start it very simple. So I'm gonna take you to the beginning, right? So this is very simple. There's typically only two ways that NIL is going to be a factor for you as a student athlete. Number one, you are one of, if not the best athlete in that area or in your area, not just on your team, but in that area. I'm talking about you're the McDonald's All-American. You know what I mean? You're the Gatorade Player of the Year. When you accomplish that type of feat and that type of success, then NIL opportunities are going to find you. You don't necessarily have to go out and search for them. They're going to start coming towards you, whether that's through social media, whether that's through companies, whether it's through your coaching. It's going to start chasing you down because of the notoriety that you have received. If you are not that Gatorade Player of the Year and you have an interest in NIL deals, there's something that you have to do. You have to build a brand. You have to now treat your career, I don't care if this is high school, whatever that looks like, college, you have to now treat your career like a business. Just like a business has to invest time and energy in building their brand in order to get consumers to buy the product, you have to invest in building your brand to get companies to write a check for you to endorse their product, if that makes sense, right? So let's dive into it a little bit. So when you think about, years ago, you look at stories like Reggie Bush. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with that. For a minute, they stripped away the Heisman Trophy and all kind of craziness. And that basically all came down to him being compensated while he was still a college athlete. So now there's no barrier to that. If Reggie Bush was in college today, he would be able to accept all of the money, whatever the under the table stuff that was going on that ended up coming to the light for whatever reason. Now that would all be considered legal. They wouldn't even have to hide it. They could have bought his whole family a house and be like, here's a house and here's why we're buying you a house, because we want you to be in this commercial. They can technically do that today. So that's it. But the reason I mentioned Reggie Bush is because guess what? He was one of, if not the biggest name in college football at that time. So it made sense that people were willing to give him money, even though it was not technically legal at the time, right? And we all know, we're not naive to it. We know across the country, there has been hundreds of athletes that have been compensated. You know, I went to a small school. I say small school, meaning UNLV in comparison to Alabama, SC, and all the, the SEC schools and all that. So even at our level, there was some stuff going on that would definitely be questionable in terms of NIL. So the reason I mention that is because it's been happening. Now it's just above the board, if that makes sense. Now it doesn't have to be hidden. Now it doesn't have to be a secret envelope passed to an athlete, after a random practice, or it doesn't have to be that now. Now you could actually draw up a legal contractual agreement with a student athlete and a marketing company or brand and say, we're going to pay you X in order to help us market our company or our product. And then if we go a little bit deeper, there's also collectives, which most of the major universities have collectives. What that is, that's basically a collection of multiple people that either own businesses, or maybe they're just boosters, or maybe they're alumni, whatever that looks like. It's a collective of those people that are now willing to contribute X amount of dollars per year that can be paid out to student athletes that attend that university. So I know the NCAA is obviously got their hands full in regulating all this stuff and managing it all. So there's going to be some legislation. There's going to be some rule changes. But right now, it's basically like the Wild Wild West. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Everything now is speculation. So-and-so got $1 million. Is it true? Maybe, maybe not. Not sure. So here's what I want to do. I'm gonna give you guys the insight to what I'm doing with the athletes that I personally work with when it comes to the NIL and building a brand. This is the insight, right? So number one, I have a couple very, very talented athletes. They have dominated their sport, dominated, everything that they've done at every single level. So right now, the number one priority is building a brand. Now they need to basically present a package, not just to companies, but to the world that says, people follow me. I have influence. When I post a video, it gets X amount of views, X amount of watch time, X amount of likes. And I know there's some athletes out there that are like, oh, I'm not really into social media like that, or I just want to use it to have fun, or whatever the case. And I totally understand that. But understand, there's not two sides to this coin. If you do not have the brand, the social media presence, the following, it's going to be very difficult to get those NIL deals that you're talking about or hoping that you get one day. So if you just not into social because you just choose not to, then understand you're probably making a decision to not get any NIL deals unless you really become that 5-star, Gatorade player of the year. Then all bets are off. When you get to that level, you can have one follower and they're going to figure out a way to endorse you and get you paid. And of course, when they do that, they're going to market and brand and use your name, image, and likeness, which is still going to go a long way, especially if you're on TV every Saturday scoring 3 or 4 touchdowns. So they're fine. But if that's not you and you're looking to build, you need to start by creating not only profiles, but basically making sure that your profiles are consistent with how you want to be represented, right? So I tell my athletes, it's not just about posting, because you can post anything. You know what I mean? I see it. Even on our Phase One Elite page, I see athletes, I see what you're doing on the weekends. I see when you out. I see when you with people that you probably shouldn't even be hanging out with, and you're posting it and it's on the story and you're at the party. If this is what we're doing, you're killing yourself. You're pretty much telling anybody that is watching you to determine if they want to invest into you that you are not the right person. You're not. It is what it is. So if that's you, I'd prefer you to stop posting, period. So at least you're not damaging your brand, your own personal brand. But on the flip side of that, my athletes like I work with, You're training 4, 5, 6 days a week. You're in the gym, you're running on the track, you're working on your skills, you're going to camps. If you're doing these things, you're committed to being an athlete, then you need to be highlighting this on a daily basis on every single one of your social media outlets. You need to be letting every single person that comes across your page have one clear vision of who you are as an athlete. You're somebody that's going to work your butt off. You're somebody that trains consistently. You know what I mean? You're somebody that's, you're a leader. These are the things. You're eating good, the supplements, whatever it is you're doing that's making you a better athlete, just highlight it. When it comes to building a brand for a student athlete, this isn't as strategic, meaning as a big company has to be, and looking at demographics and all this other stuff. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is make it very clear what type of player you really are, what type of person you really are. So here's some keys. Training videos. They should always be floating around your social media pages. You should always be showing that you are committed to this, committed to being an athlete, committed to getting better every single day of the week, right? Not just with groups, not just the scheduled stuff, but what are you doing on your own? Whatever the sport is, I don't care if it's soccer, are you running those extra miles on your own? Are you training on your own? We know it's practice time. We get that. But what are you doing on your own? So your training should always be a big part of it. Nutrition. And this also is going to help you on the recruiting side. We're talking NIL today, but guess what? You're also creating a brand for those college coaches that may be recruiting you and potentially giving you a scholarship. So you're basically working both ends. You're putting yourself in a position to secure NIL deals, and you're putting yourself in a position to get multiple scholarship offers, which ultimately should be your goal. So your training has to be there. Your nutrition. How committed are you to being an athlete? What are you eating on a daily basis? Show it. You don't have to show every single meal, but when you get up in the morning, you're making that protein shake or whatever it is, or you're making your fruit and you're doing your thing, show it. Show them that you are committed. And here's the other part. When it comes to the NIL side, what if it's a supplement brand that wants to represent you or wants you to represent their brand? What if it's a supplement company that wants to write you a check and send you free products every month? If they don't even know that you take products, it's going to be hard for them to connect the dots, right? But if they see you drinking your protein shake after your training session, they're going to say, man, this athlete takes that protein after every workout. What if we send them our product? What if we send them our product in a check and just tell them, cool, just continue to do what you're doing and continue to post, now just post our brand. If you drink this during the game, how about what if we get them to switch and just drink ours? Are we willing to pay for that? This is what we're trying to create. But in the beginning, it's just you creating the habit and now letting them see it along the way. So training, nutrition, any academic awards or any academic success needs to be highlighted. I don't see it often. And I don't know if that's because your GPA is not high enough or you're just making a decision not to post it. But I see everything else. I see how many touchdowns. I see how many goals you scored. I see how many points. But I've not seen a GPA. I've not seen something that lets me know you're committed to being a student as a part of your student athlete career. Let's start posting that as well. Those awards that you get, those academic All-American awards, those honor roll awards, those Dean List awards. Let's start posting those too, because it's nothing better than finding a complete athlete, somebody that's a dog on the field or on the court, somebody that's killing it during the off-season training, and then somebody that's academically tight, 4.0, 4.2, 3.9 GPA. You're killing it in the classroom as well. That's going to make you a well-rounded athlete. And what brand is not going to want to partner with you? Killing it on the field or court. Killing it during the off-season, training, nutrition, supplements. Killing it in the classroom. Those are key factors that makes me say, I want to work with this athlete. Because think about it. We have thousands of athletes out there. What's going to make a brand pick you? What's going to make a brand send you that DM to say, hey, man, we've been following you and we would love to work with you? What's going to make them do that? It's those three things we just talked about. And then I'm going to give you number 4. This is a big one. This one could ultimately be one of the most important that I'm going to give you. Community service, charity outreach, church, whatever that looks like for you. You need to make it very clear of what type of person you are. We know who you are on the field, on the court. We know you're a dog, you're a beast, you got that. Now we know who you are during the off season. We know how you got there. We see the training, we see the nutrition, we see the supplement, we see the grind. We see you going to sleep early so you can make sure you're up early for that workout. We see it, right? Now we see the academic. We see what kind of student is this person. Is this the type of person that's not only going to have multiple athletic scholarships, but they're also going to have some academic scholarships? That's big. That's huge. What kind of student are you? And then last, number 4, is what type of person? What's your character? Are you at the homeless shelter? Are you donating? Are you giving time? Are you helping with the toy drive, the sock drive, all the different things in your community, right in your own backyard that you could be a part of? Are you contributing that time? You're not getting paid. It's probably even more inconvenient than anything else, but are you making it a priority to make sure you impact your community? If you're a student athlete, high school, for example, are you going back to the elementary schools? Are you going back to the youth camps? When you find out someone's having a camp that's free and it's for the community, are you volunteering your time to go help work that camp? And if you are you highlighting it? And I know some people will say, of course, if you're doing that, you shouldn't have to highlight it. Or what if I do it, but I don't want anyone to know that I've done it? And I understand that. And there's a time for that. But if we're looking at building a brand, we are trying to paint a picture. We are trying to make people see what type of student athlete you are and how well-rounded you are. So we have to hit on each one of these categories. If you decide you don't want to show one of these, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying you're reducing your chances. So if NIL is something that's important to you, NIL is something that you feel like can impact your family, not just you on a personal level, but it's athletes out there that are taking care of their families through NIL deals. I'm talking hundreds of $1,000s deals going with NIL right now. Some of the larger athletes are in the millions with name, image, and likeness, which is barely a year old. So it's still early in the game. It's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get bigger. And so here's my confirmation. Here's what I want to tell you guys before I let you go today. The athletes I work with, I've had conversations with Adidas. I've had conversations with other bigger brands or other brands as big as Adidas. And there's some common factors that they all look for. And I'm going to tell you what those common factors are. It's the 4 that I just gave you, right? But it's also your reach. They are big on simple numbers. How many followers do you have across all platforms? That's the question. That's what they want to know. So for those athletes out there that want to sign and be an Adidas athlete or a Nike athlete or a Legends brand or whatever that looks like for you, if that's what you want, you are going to have to get your numbers up. Just like your statistics when it comes to getting a scholarship, right? How many yards did you rush for? How many points did you average? When we flip over to the NIL side, it's the same question. What's the reach? How many followers? How many do you have on TikTok? How many do you have on IG? How many do you have on Twitter? Because they want to know, if I give you this check and I put you in this brand and you are 3-stripe Adidas head to toe, how many people are going to see it? And how many are going to engage with it? How many are going to hit the like button? How many are going to leave a comment? That's what you're trying to accomplish, because that's what gives you the leverage. And here's the best part about it. The more eyes, the more followers, the more engagement, the more numbers you have, the bigger the check. That's simple. It's that simple. It's simple math. All right. So hopefully this few minutes has gave you some insight to NIL, name, image, and likeness. This is going to be huge. If you're a middle school athlete or younger, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, start now. Don't wait. I encourage all my young athletes, start the Instagram page, show those highlights on there. You know what I mean? Find a cool videographer, photographer in your area to come out and shoot, get some content. You don't have to do it every day, but you definitely want some content. Start building that profile. Start letting people see that journey, see you progress from middle school. Okay, now, I wonder what high school this kid's going to. I got to follow them now. I know they're at this high school. Let them see that journey. Build that following. Build that engagement. Parents that may not be comfortable with giving their kids social media yet, that's fine. Create the account and you manage it. Easy answer. Your kids in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, you're like, you know what, Mike, I don't want them to have an IG page or a Twitter and all that. Okay, I get it. But create it. You manage it. You run it. You post once or twice a week. It doesn't have to be every single day. It doesn't have to become a full-time job. But I would advise you do that. Then you wait until their junior year of high school, and now all of a sudden you're trying to figure it out. So that's the key. We want to get started early, stay consistent, hit on all 4 categories. You have to hit on all 4. And once you do that, you're going to put yourself in a position to not only be a successful athlete, not only help with your recruiting, help with getting a scholarship, you're actually going to put yourself in a position to get an NIL deal and possibly change the entire life for yourself and your family by generating more money as a student athlete than most people generate in their career. So take it for what it's worth. Hopefully there was some value in there. Hopefully, you guys are taking some notes. If you missed anything, rewind it back and also share it. Share it with the other parent. Share it with your student athletes so they can have an understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. Share it, and I'm going to keep giving you insight. Everything I know, you're going to know. So once again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Make sure you share it. Follow the page, subscribe, depending on where you're consuming this at. And this is Mike, Phase One Elite, Las Vegas, and I'll see you on the next one.